Got traffic there. Blaster, just take it up to the departure end of the runway, then a left turn and a left downwind. Cessna over the threshold, coming up on the white dot, at or beyond the white dot, left turn first available. I got a high wind coming up on about a half-mile final, clear to land at or beyond. Traffic on the left face, you're following a Cessna down, low off your left. Square it up just a little bit, and then we're going to get you in. Start your descent, though. Start your descent on the base. Traffic on final, give me follow on base. Base traffic, start turning toward the numbers now. High wing coming up on quarter-mile final, take it all the way down to the green. Cessna taxiing on the green, expedite down to the next hard surface. Get me some speed, there you go, 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 go fast. This is going to be good. I got traffic on a mile final, you're following traffic ahead and to your right. High wing coming up on the threshold, take it all the way down to the green dot.
5 Charlie Sierra, 2 mile final.
A mile final, turn north, and we're going to just make you, we're going to bring you back around. Jet traffic's coming up on about a mile and a half final, runway 9 clear to land.
Okay, all right, let's listen up, guys. If you're on final for runway 9, I want you to offset to the left. I got a jet that's landing on runway 9. The jet's cleared to land runway 9 if you can make it. If not, just continue straight ahead. It looks like you're going around for the jet. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine.
Oh, we had one right in front of us, sir.
Dragger. Let's see, what we got, a tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down, tricycle, put it down. Tail dragger, down to the green dot, then a left turn. Short final here, you cleared land on 9, all the way to the white dot, go down to the white dot. Find somebody to follow out here. Canard, just come to the runway and I might have to just send you around. That'll be fine. And for the jet, you just want to stay in this pattern or you want to go back out for an instrument approach?
Stay in a pattern, Charlie Sierra.
All right, just stay with me here for a minute. And my tail dragger, let's see, over the numbers, go down to the green. And Canard's going to have to go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. Canard, go around. And my high wing here over the runway, keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. You do not descend. Do not descend. You got a fast guy behind you. Do not descend. There you go. Keep it airborne. Keep it airborne. As soon as the guy behind you gets slowed down, I'm going to put you down. So keep it airborne. The one that just passed the white dot, make a left turn on the hard surface. All right, my high wing tail dragger, you can put it down now. You can put it down now. And Charlie Sierra, let me get you about a mile off. Let's see, Charlie Sierra, I lost. There you are. Make a left-hand turn. I'll try to resequence you here on the downwinds. We'll see how it looks. Short final, you're clear to land runway 9 on the white dot. Clear to land on the white dot. There you go. And the tricycle left on the hard surface and follow the flagman. Welcome. Thanks for being part of the show. And let's see, just find somebody to follow out follow on the final. And as you get close to the runway, if it's not going to work, we're going to send you around and then try to resequence you. Now, who else got sent around that's not back on the downwind? The Canard?
Yeah, Canard.
All right, Canard, there's a Gulfstream up there that went around too. I just lost sight of him, but you're going to make kind of a left-hand turn and stay low. I think Charlie Sierra, what's your altitude?
3,200.
Okay, that'll be fine. Just maintain VFR. I don't know what else is up there above you. Probably most everybody's down here, so just make a left-hand turn. We'll try to get you back here.
Canard's got the jet in tight.
Okay, the RV, maybe an RV-10, whatever, here on final. Keep your speed up and go all the way down to the, aim for the green dot for me. Actually, keep your speed up. There's a guy behind you. Aim for the green dot, and I'm sure that's plenty of room for you to land on runway 9. You're clear to land on runway 9. Number 2, you're going to go down to the white dot. Follow the white dot. Actually, you know what? That's 1,500 feet. You're going to land at the white dot. The spacing looks adequate here. 2 guys on final. You're kind of tight there. Keep each other in sight, and you're going to aim for the white dot. If it's not going to work, we'll come up with a plan B. We might have to send you around. The second guy behind you out there in about a 2-mile final. Are you slow enough to be able to follow that guy in front of you? You need to go around. Well, I probably shouldn't ask that because I had about 5 guys answer me, so I should know better than that. After 35 years, you would think, right? All right, so let me see. The guy who's number 1, it's number 1. What kind of airplane is he? An RV type. All right, RV type. Keep it airborne for me. Keep it airborne. And I got a fast guy behind you. The number 2 guy over the trees there. Go ahead and put it down on the numbers. Put it down on the numbers. My first guy just coming up on the numbers at the over the grass at the numbers. I want you to keep
T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Hello.
Four, 3, 2, 1.
Hello! Hello! thank you for joining us on this Thursday night. I look outside the window and it is looking it's looking quite nice compared to what it was. However, before we go on, a little bit of serious news. As we speak right now, live, it appears that Hangar 3 at Old Sarum is on fire. It's a huge fire. The roof is very definitely on fire. There are pictures of it all over social media. We've asked various people if we can have permission to put their pictures up. We hope to bring you some pictures later on in the show. There's certainly video on social media. If you, I suggest you don't leave the show, clearly, because, we want to keep you here. But Sarah, I've got some stuff on their Twitter, it's X feed, X, and if you remember their Facebook group as well. So we'll get back to that later on, but it is looking like a pretty substantial fire, I have to say. Right, what have we got for you tonight? We've got loads of stuff tonight. We've got penguins, we've got airfields in trouble. There's a change. We've got backflipping aerobatic aircraft. We've got all sorts of stuff, and then we've got I don't know. And we'll give you the news that you didn't get from AERO probably our last AERO coverage for this year.
Because there was a lot that we couldn't fit into last week's show, even though it was a special.
Bloody huge. Yeah. This time last week, we were sitting in Germany, looking out over the lake with the snow-capped peaks in the background, having enjoyed a jolly nice beer and a great show. It was lovely, wasn't it? It was really bloody good.
I seem to remember I was frantically editing photos and we were about to go live.
It was a trifle stressful at the very last couple of minutes.
It always is, though, isn't it? And it always works out all right in the end, doesn't it? I mean, what's the worst that could happen?
Yes, exactly.
Nobody dies, do they? So
no.
Anyway, right. Moving on, I would like to say, as is customary, but it's heartfelt, a huge thanks to SkyDemon for supporting the live stream. We really couldn't do it to this amazing production quality that we do without them. No, seriously, thank you very much, SkyDemon. And here is this week's tip from Tim himself. This one's a good one.
Hi, I'm Tim from SkyDemon. Welcome to this week's top tip. You can animate the weather display in SkyDemon, which can be helpful for seeing the trend over the last few hours, and also for seeing the forecast into the next couple of hours. First, I'm going to turn on Flyable Conditions, which is a personalised forecast that mixes cloud base and visibility with your own preferences. Now, I'm going to press Animate. Down at the bottom here, you can see the time increasing in 5-minute intervals. When the yellow indicator is in the darker bit of blue, it represents what's in the past. In the brighter bit of blue, it's showing the future. Meanwhile, on the map, the flyable conditions, green, yellow and red, are changing according to the time being displayed, and the wind is being animated with these blue tadpoles. You can pause the animation by pressing pause, and then use your finger by sliding it left or right to adjust the time that's being displayed. You can then press play to resume the animation, or stop animating by pressing the cross. For our full user manual, go to skydemon.aero and choose Help and Support.
Well, a combination of that music and Tim's very
feeling rather sleepy.
Explanatory voice. Well, no, it was when he said you can animate it. It's like, where are will things rush on? Will there be black bunnies going across the screen? But no,
I just wanted a little mug of cocoa and I'd be right to sleep.
Yeah, Cat says blue tadpoles. I hope there's a no time for that.
Any kind of weather feature that brings you blue tadpoles has got to be good.
I know.
Raining cats and frogs.
Exactly, yeah. Well, it's got to start somewhere, haven't they, frogs? So
yep.
Blue tadpoles is a good start. Anyway, thinking of the weather, I did have a really good introduction for Simon, all worked out, and he's joining us by video tonight. But then Dan Smith said, "What's that, Skippy? Simon has some flyable days on an Easter weekend. Take me there, Skip."
Here we go.
Evening, everybody. How are you doing? Hope that you are well and looking forward to the Easter weekend. Weather is going to be a bit mixed for flying. You've got to choose your time well. But let's see what we can pick out for you, shall we? Now, I'm going to use these charts today. I'm not going to use the frontal charts because they are going to be so confusing as we go through the next couple of days. So I thought, you know what, let's just get to the basics of this. So what to note from these charts, this is actually from the Icon EU model. So this is actually from the German model, which is actually pretty good. We've got the times here in the top right hand corner, and what this chart shows us is cloud. So where we see the white colours, that's where we've got most cloud. Dark colours tell us that we've got clear skies, and then we've got rain on here. Think of this as sort of an inferred forecast radar. And we've also got isobars, and you can see the lines running through here. And the usual thing applies, that the closer together the isobars are, the stronger the winds. Okay, so hopefully that's orientated you. Now, this is the forecast for Friday. We've got rain across Ireland, getting into western parts of Wales, southwest England on Friday morning. Notice eastern areas, though, are looking pretty good. Base is typically coming in here at about 3,000 to 4,000 feet, but lower in the west in that rain at just 1,000 to 2,000 feet. Now, during the course of Friday, notice how that rain moves its way northwards. There we are at midday on Friday, heaviest across Ireland. And then as we go through Friday afternoon, that rain continues to edge its way northwards. And by Friday evening, we've got rain southwestern Scotland. We've got rain through much of Ireland, through Wales, through central, southern and southeast England. But look how eastern areas tend to stay dry. Getting quite breezy, isobars getting close together, lots of mist and murk around western coasts as well. So not the best of Good Fridays. Now, as we go through in towards Saturday, still got the remnants of a front lying through western Scotland, down through northwest England, the Midlands, southern England as well. And I think, again, this is going to produce generally non-VFRable conditions with outbreaks of rain. However, it does start to get a little better in the afternoon, but still lots of mist and murk and fog shrouding hills. And even as it gets brighter in the southwest, so we're going to be finding a few showers moving in. Notice it's drier though across eastern Scotland, eastern England, but with the wind coming in off the sea here, we could still have some low cloud, perhaps around 1,000 to 1,500 foot base, and a top nearer around 6,000 or 7,000 feet. In the rain in the west and through central areas, their base is 1,000 to 2,000 feet and tops up at around about 10 to 15,000 feet. Now, that rainfall eases as we go through into Saturday evening, and then through Sunday, Easter Sunday, we're looking at that little area of rain passing across northern England. Elsewhere, it looks better. Best sunshine across central and northern parts of Scotland. That's where the best flying conditions will be. Actually not bad across central southern parts of England, but it may be a little misty or murky at first. That slowly lifts, and then typical bases of around 3,000 feet, tops at about 8,000 feet during the course of the afternoon. And finally, and I know this has been a long forecast, finally to take you into holiday Monday, another front just making its way eastwards. Clears away to the east on Monday afternoon, weakening all the time as it goes. May still have a little bit of rain associated with it across East Anglia in the southeast first thing on Monday morning. There could be some showers affecting western parts of Scotland, western Wales and southwest England, but look how the cloud has broken in inland and southern areas. Sunny spells coming through. Typical bases 3,000 to 4,000 feet, tops about 12,000 feet here in the afternoon. Few heavy showers for Northern Ireland, better across Southern Ireland, better in Northern Scotland too. So what do we make of that? Well, a very messy Easter weekend. Don't forget, if you want to learn more about weather, go to weatherschool.co.uk. You can take my Pilot's Guide to SQT course right now and do that over the weekend. That'll be 3 hours well spent. That will get you flying more. If you go and have a look at weatherschool.co.uk, you can find out how to do that. And I'll be announcing new dates for the Aviation Weather School courses very soon. Right, I've whittled on for long enough. Sorry about that, guys, but I wanted to get that detail in for the weekend. Have a safe flying weekend. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
See you, Simon. While Simon was giving us that complex weather forecast, we've got a couple of bits of media that have come in with permission. So the first one is a still. Thank you very much to Mike Gill. This is the Fire Hangar 3. So you can see this wasn't taken that long ago, and Hangar 3 is as you can see, well on fire. And even more recently, in terms of time, we have a short 11-second video. I'm not sure what the sound's like, so I may have to mute it if there's lots of people saying rude words in the background or something. But here you go. Hang on a minute. That's more than Hangar 3? Is
that Hangar 3 Cafe as well?
That's Hangar 3 Cafe, yeah.
Is that where you did the interview, Dave?
Yes, that's actually the skydive centre these days and the cafe. So, but that's I mean, that is Hangar 3. That is the one that in the planning appeal was resolved last week, was cited as the one that has to be rebuilt before the housing project can be completed. And it looks like the back of the cafe, which may be the kitchen area.
I wonder. I mean, is that taken? I'll play this again in a second, but before I play it, I'll ask you a question. You can answer it afterwards if you can. Is that taken from like what would have been the benches outside next to the aircraft parking by the runway?
Yes, it's taken. Looks like it's taken from the fence that separates airside from ground side.
That's what I thought. Here you go. Just a quick one again. It's only 11 seconds long.
It does look there as though the flames are at the back of the cafe, but there again, Hangar 3 is totally destroyed at this point, so it just may have spread to the cafe.
I don't. Well, the wind is southerly though, so
Weird things happen in fires, don't they? And also the wind
Generate
could be swirling around.
Yeah. Wow. Well, hopefully nobody caught up in that.
Yeah, very sad to see that.
Yeah. Right. On that basis, I think it's time to move on with the first story of the week, which Annabelle, take us away on this one.
Yeah, a little bit more lighthearted now. So back in January, a routine aerial survey flight in an R-44 over South Africa's Bird Island ended unexpectedly when a penguin, travelling in a cardboard box on the front of the passenger's lap, suddenly remembered it was a flightless bird and made a daring escape. The box slipped and landed on the cyclic, leading the helicopter to crash onto its side. Somehow everyone, including the penguin, waddled away unharmed. It's not the first time that animals have caused chaos in the cockpit. There was an incident in the Congo in 2010 when a crocodile smuggled on board a turboprop was widely blamed for the fatal crash. And just today, there were news reports that a rabbit was responsible for an engine fire on a United Airlines 737. In the case of the R-44, the South African Civil Aviation Authority unsurprisingly cited the lack of secure containment for the penguin as a cause of the incident. So think twice before you pick up a penguin as a passenger.
Was that all leading up to that? Oh, no.
It was going to happen, wasn't it? It's good. I've got to say, you mentioned a crocodile. How do you smuggle a crocodile onto an aeroplane?
Carefully.
Not a fully grown crocodile.
It's like, excuse me, sir, I think that looks like a crocodile. No,
it was in a duffel bag, and obviously didn't like to be in the duffel bag.
It's my support iguana.
Who can blame him? Who can blame him? In terms of uplifting stories, again, which I don't know if the penguin's probably not uplifting, other than the fact that everyone got out okay, and it came with a terrible joke. But
I worked ages on that. How rude!
And it was slick.
Even the terrible joke that took a lot of time. Okay, this is David Morley. 85-year-old David Morley was a sub postmaster in Nottinghamshire, and he was caught up in the Horizon scandal. So he ended up with 13K's worth of compensation and decided to broaden his horizons by popping to Sywell and jumping in a P-51 Mustang and flying for an hour. So I can't think, honestly, of a better way of spending, I don't know how much of the 13 grand he spent, but probably a significant chunk of it to go flying when you're 85 to go and fulfill one of those lifetime ambitions and go in.
Do we know if he flew in more than one warbird? Because they've got three that I think 2 or 3 that you can ride in.
I have been unable to
still.
Verify that. The stories that I found everywhere cite war birds, so it certainly suggests that. But the only war bird that I found mentioned is a P-51. I don't know if other people know more and they could let us know. I hope he flew in all three of them, to be honest, and I hope he was going along using a spare middle finger pointed towards the post office and Horizon people at the same. Frank, and
that's good. Yeah.
No. Not such an uplifting story is that Loch Lomond Seaplanes has closed down unexpectedly. I've not managed to get in touch with the owner and operator David West yet, but according to Scotland's Daily Record, which is the Sun in England, and the Times, the cost of maintenance and long lead times for spare parts has led to the collapse. It's a bit weird, this, because just a month ago, Loch Lomond Seaplanes was reported as being the first British customer of for the Norwegian electric seaplane known as Noemi, no emissions. I can't say any more than that because that's all we know at the moment.
Sure. It was all very sudden, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All very sudden, but I don't know. It's only I think they've been operating for quite a while, haven't they?
Yes, since I think it was 2003. I think they started.
I'm always amazed that there was enough demand for a service like that.
I think it was only operating during the tourist season, because that's you don't go through the worst of the Scottish winter, I don't think. So
no. I mean, in the nicest possible way, and I really genuinely don't mean to offend any of our Scottish viewers. I'm surprised that the weather is reliable enough to make that thing work. There must be all sorts of occasions where there are bookings and you cannot fill those. But absolutely.
Hannibal.
So it's more bad news. So after around 95 years of training engineers and pilots, Perth-based AST is under administration and will cease operations by the end of the year, citing long-standing financial pressures. Owned by UHI Perth, AST has already ended most of its courses, with around 28 jobs being lost and significant disruption to the students. There will be funding from the university to keep the BSc in aircraft maintenance, engineering and management running, just to the end of the academic year. So that will allow those students to complete their studies. But just not good news from them at all.
It's amazing, really, because apart from crying out for pilots at the moment, the airline industry is absolutely desperate for engineers. People as well.
The GA world is desperate for engineers too, isn't it?
I was talking to the people at Friedrichshafen who were basically saying that many of the larger maintenance organisations in the UK who actually go through the whole process of apprenticeships and training people and getting them to the point of license, which is like a 4 or 5 year process. And unfortunately, after that, there are quite a few of those people who all of a sudden go, you know what? I think I'm going to go to the airlines because it pays more, and airlines will tend to have very nice large heated hangars and all sorts of other employee perks, which is tough to compete with if you're a small maintenance organisation on an airfield. Frankly. Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I have some.
The world's upside down.
I have better news. Yes, the world is upside down in what AERO claims is a major step, and that's the fact that their Integral E, which is their all-electric aircraft, completed its first inverted flight, and apparently this is part of the certification flight program. The Integral E, you'll remember, is one of the 3 aircraft in the Integral line, together with the already certified European Integral R and Integral S, which is tail dragger and nose wheel. Those are avgas fueled. Seems weird, doesn't it, talking about things that are avgas fueled and electric. Anyway, the Integral E is powered by the Safran Ingenious engine, and it's expected to have an initial endurance of an hour with 30 minutes supercharge time. So, and AERO say they expect operating costs to be half of those of a conventionally powered aircraft. So AERO also claim that the Integral E is the first all-electric aerobatic aircraft, but I think maybe they mean what will be the first all-electric certified aerobatic aircraft. Because don't forget that Hamilton Watches, in conjunction with the manufacturer of the Twister, made an electric Twister that was aerobatic. So,
Yeah.
so let's
He
not
did.
forget.
Did indeed. My only comment on that AERO thing, and perhaps
Yes.
everyone will disagree with me, is that airplane, the electric version, looks better upside down than it does the right way up.
It's true, actually. I spent some time looking at the Integral E at AERO, and it is not a good-looking aeroplane, but actually turning it upside down does make it look better.
Look at that. It looks much better, I think.
I like that a lot more. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I do. I do too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the right way up is not good. Anyway, football next.
Football, yes. If you're a Manchester United football club soccer fan, then you may be causing the closure of an airfield. Apparently, because Manchester United want to move to a new stadium, which will be built close by to the current Old Trafford stadium, and to make room for that stadium, they will have to move a railway logistics yard, and they're going to move it to open countryside where Kenyon Hall Airfield is. You can see it. The outline in red is where the logistics hub will be, and you can see in green. This is my Adobe skills coming to the fore here. This is this is in the green is where Kenyon Hall Airfield is, and it will be obliterated by this new logistics yard. Anyway, it's going through the process at the moment. It's been through a consultation with the local town council. If they really wanted to go ahead, I can't see anything stopping this. It's a bit of a steamroller because the whole area is Manchester United mad. There was a very nice quote actually, because I picked this story up from the Microlight Flying newsletter, and a local pilot called Steve Grimshaw said the so-called ILP, this is the integrated intermodal logistics park, is basically relocating a whole interchange from Trafford Park to the countryside for Manchester United to build its new stadium. So after 14 years of hard work developing the strip, our days at Kenyon look numbered. There's worse for him personally because he's a Liverpool fan and he can't stand Manchester United at the best of the times. So he said, this is really rubbing salt into the wounds.
I've just lost all sympathy for the tribal football supporters. I just don't get it. But there you go. But I understand that I'm in a minority there, I'm afraid.
Well, my team, Crystal Palace, they beat Manchester United earlier this season.
Did they?
Sorry.
Annabelle, have you got a team?
No.
Ed, have you got a team?
Rugby, Formula One and rugby.
What is football?
Yeah, I'm kind of.
Well,
I can see there's a few people out there going. Pwah, 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 pwah.
Chris Linton says bad football.
Yes.
Steve Baker said the fact that the stadium build is pie in the sky means it'll never happen.
Well, there's a lot of people not very happy with the idea of moving Old Trafford away from Old Trafford.
Who knows? Right, last bit of news before we move on to the next section. Ed, I think you should report on this one because it's a bit close to home for you.
It is close to home, and it's not particularly big news. But if you've been following the Cub project, that's my Cub return to flight project. Big news this week. Thanks to the LAA, I've got a permit to test. So it's all come good, and we can think about flying this. So that's incredibly scary, and yes, we'll see how that goes. But who knew?
Excellent. Sorry, Annabelle?
I thought it was really exciting. Congratulations.
I'm excited. Chris Linton's not. He said, I'd rather watch submarine racing, though I think that relates to the thing before.
Relates to football. Yeah.
That actually sounds really good.
Submarine, I like that. Yeah.
Submarine with faster.
So so Cub will get flight tested, and I'm sure we'll make a video about it. So you'll see it here first.
Maybe we should live stream it, Ed.
No, maybe we shouldn't live stream that. Anyway, I'm going to pack my inspector into it because I've told him he's test flying it. So
good idea. Right, before we move on to Annabelle's club news, it's just a little quick plea from me, really. If you could do us a favour, it'd be really useful if you could hit the like button, if you could subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I mean, that's bonkers if you're not, because that costs you nothing and it helps us out. So come on, give us a hand. And if you're watching this on catch up, or not watching it live, I should say, then leave a comment. That would be good as well. Thank you very much. Annabelle, over to you.
Yeah, so there's still a couple of weeks left to use your April free landing fees. So if you haven't looked already, we've got Fife, Straven, Cardiff and Slape. If you were to use all of them, that would save you at least £54, which I think is the bargain of the year. Couple already tied in for May. We've got Bagby and Skye, so start planning your trips already. Webinars. We had Dave White earlier this week, who gave us an update on flying into Europe. Other recent highlights include Steve Morley on spring cleaning your flying, Ed Bellamy on piston engine icing, and Mark Greenfield's advice for making forced landings. All that and more is available through your members' dashboard.
Absolutely.
Someone I know does a whole bunch of European flying and has a place on a European council about aviation, phoned me this morning and said that Dave White webinar was sensational.
Sensational! Wow.
It was really good. It went on for about an hour and 25 minutes, and it just covered everything from the very beginning. And at the end, they've put up a QR code for people to scan and get a download of all the documents and the useful stuff, so you didn't have to sit there furiously taking notes and stuff like that. The short version of the webinar is do it carefully, do it methodically, but do it, and then go overseas and enjoy yourself.
But don't bring back any meat.
Don't bring, or cheese, or dairy.
Cheese. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
But wine's okay, so that's all right.
Wine's okay, yeah. I agree. Yeah. I don't know about... let's not go there. Anyway, right. This is for the last time. Let's say thank you very much to Cirrus and Continental Aerospace Technologies for supporting our coverage of AERO 2025 this year. Frankly, it's bloody expensive to get the team over there, put the team up, eat, drink, work, and all the rest of it. And I'm not looking for any sympathy, but we're kind of tend to be breakfast at 7 and we don't get back till late. And we're all, by the time we finish the week, we're all completely wiped out. I know. But it is bloody hard work. And we couldn't really do it if we had to camp in the tents on site. We couldn't do it. So thank you very much to Cirrus and Continental Aerospace Technologies. This is us bringing you the bits that you wouldn't have seen on the headlines, the other bits of it that are behind it. So who's kicking off? I think it's Dave. We've got quite a lot of pictures here, so see if we can work our way through those carefully.
It is Dave, isn't it?
It is.
Yes,
Dave.
it is me. Yes. So the first item we can look back at is what we labelled as 916 mania. So since Rotax introduced the 916 IS engine in March 2023, there's been a tsunami of aircraft manufacturers announcing new models powered by the 106 horsepower engine. This one pictured here is the JMB VL3, which is a very lovely looking airplane, very neat installation. They were one of the first because it's quite a big engine, the 916. But anyway, they've made a really lovely job of it. The first one actually okay, I'm going to do it by the pictures rather than my script. So that picture there, that picture there is a dynamic WT9. Now, I think this is one of the best installations. It's so slim, so lovely looking that the other guys here thought the WT9 has been around for centuries and hasn't changed. But in fact, this is the 7th generation of the WT9 with quite a lot of improvements around it, bigger tailplane, all sorts of other things. So it's they have, in Cirrus style, they've continually evolved the aircraft, and this is the 916. Look very nice. Any more pictures to come? Shall I just go back to my script?
No, this just a kind of general picture. There you go of the whole plethora of 916 powered aircraft.
Okay, so the first one to get the 916 to announce, the launch customer, if you like, was the Carbon Crafters even. Carbon Crafters Carbon Cub LUL. That's just entered in production. I did see a Carbon Crafters aircraft there, but I'm not sure it was the Carbon Cub.
Hang on, I think Dave is malfunctioning.
Too many carbons.
Rearrange that sentence.
On Dave. because he's all crofted up.
Okay. Let's move on from that one.
Cub crafters, carbon cub.
Cub
It's easy for
crafters,
you to
carbon
say.
cub. That was the very first one with the 916.
Cub crafters.
Cub
Cub
crafters.
crafters.
God.
Carbon
Okay.
cub. Cub crafters, carbon cub. Red
Sorry,
lorry, yellow lorry.
sorry, cub crafters.
He's been drinking too much alcohol.
We'll have it reprogrammed.
Sells cub crafters, covers.
So another new one this year was the Blackwing. This is a Swedish aircraft. We haven't got a picture of that. Okay. The Ryzen 916 Super Veloce. We're going to come back to that a bit later in the show. J&B, we've already covered that. And the Breezer Sport, which isn't so sleek as all the others. It's a nice, quite a big aircraft. They're aiming firmly at the training market with the Breezer Sport. God, thank God that's over and done with.
I remember the WT9. I went to see the factory Aerosport many years ago, before they were approved as a microlight back in the UK. Then it was a different company. Was it called the Yeoman Light Aircraft Company or something?
I believe it was, yeah.
I can't remember what it was. Yeah, I think it might have been called that. A guy called Nick, who unfortunately I've forgotten his second name, but went over there and had a look. It was a really impressive factory, actually, and it took them a while to get the UK approval, but yeah, it was a while ago. And I remember at launch it was something like 75k you had to buy, and everyone was going, "Oh my God, that's way too expensive for a microlight." Just to show you how long ago it was. Prices are somewhat different now, aren't they?
The 916 really has it has blown the doors off of engine placement in 600 in all a whole range of 600 kg microlights, because Bristol have got the 916 in a version of their aeroplane as well. So Nick Allen says, what does a new 916 cost? That is around about £47,000, I think. So it's not a cheap engine, but it probably is one of the most technologically advanced engines you can buy, because you think digitally controlled, fuel injected, turbo intercooler.
Yeah,
Really getting a geek on.
I have some nerdy questions for you, Ed, on the 916.
Oh no!
Just like Ask Ed. Go on.
Well,
I wasn't prepared for that.
You know you were.
I'll feign faultiness and start saying cub crafters.
That would be correct, though, wouldn't it?
Ulster.
So obviously we had the starting at the beginning. You got the 80 horsepower 912, the UL, and then you get the ULS, which is the 100 horsepower version. Then the 912 IS, the again 100 horsepower version, but a very sweet engine, and probably my current favorite in the Rotax setup. And then there's the 914, which has been around for a while, which is...
You forgot. Who remembers the 912 IS Sport? No one. But that was an engine for a time. I think that was that 120 horsepower?
Was it? Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Anyway, back. I'm getting to my question in the end. Then
Please don't leave the stream, viewers. They will reset shortly, and they'll get back to some interesting news.
The 914. Anyway, then we went to the 915. But the 915 seems to be like the ugly little sister that people aren't talking about very much. What's the difference between the 915 and the 916, apart from like 10 horsepower or something?
10 horsepower, Ian. But really, it's like they took. It's because 915. It's like they just went to the firmware in the electronics control unit and just went, give us more power. I think it is a bit more sophisticated than that, because I've got a feeling that there's a stronger crank in the 916 than in the 915. But I think that might be it. But it's the same CC, same. Oh, Nick Allen says another 100 cc. I'm not sure if that's the case, Nick. I think they may have just done it by just clever programming. So.
And is the 915 still being sold as a current in production engine? Do you know?
It is, but really, everyone's going, well, if I can have the 916, because it's exactly the same footprint and packaging. You go, why wouldn't I have a 916?
I wouldn't have a 916, yeah.
And Jane says, how long will the 916 last? Well, actually, the answer to that is 2,000 hours, Jane, because Rotax make a big thing of saying that we won't sell an engine if we can't get behind a 2,000 hour warranty on it. So
Yeah. Well, and because there is the other company, the Norwegian company, Edge, is it Edge Technologies?
Edge Performance.
Edge Performance, who are squeezing quite a lot of power out of Rotax engines, more power than Rotax squeeze out of them. I know in the UK, both the BMAA and LAA are a little bit conservative when it comes to Edge Performance and their engines, but they're really nice looking engines, and they do seem to have gained wide market acceptance throughout Europe, and lots of people getting more power than Rotax out of their little Rotaxes, as it were. Right.
Yeah.
It's basically looking about the 100cc, aren't you, Ed?
Well, no, David James is saying 912 IS Sport, surely not 120. David, you're right, and I'm wrong. I got all carried away. The ISC Sport was meant, I think it had more torque or something, but it was only 100 horsepower. But whereas that engine's just kind of, it seems to have gone. No one seems interested in that engine anymore. So
there you go.
Ed is malfunctioning now too. He's wrong.
Yeah, but my malfunctions are kind of, you've got to be a real nerd expert like David to pick up on that. It's not an obvious one. Like, oh, Dave.
Thank you, Ed. Right.
Anyway.
I'm going to take the heat off you, Dave, because I'm going to talk about what I'm classing as I hope this is not libelous or anything, the fentanyl of the light aviation industry. This is the drug that people can't get away from, the turbines. Everybody wants a turbine down there, and there is a growing number of aircraft with turbines. And this is down to the Turbotech turbine, as you can see. It's effectively 140, the equivalent of 140 horsepower. And it pretty much appears in everyone's aeroplane that you can get around there on their stand. So a whole bunch of those, which I'll show you in a minute. This engine is supposedly really clever, in as much as that big bulbous thing you can see on the right there is the kind of heat exchanger. So the exhaust, I don't get this. I must admit, I've thought about this, and my brain is too small to understand it. So if anyone can explain it to me like I'm 5, that would be really good. It uses the heat from the exhaust to heat the induction charge to impart the energy to it, which means they need less fuel, which you obviously have to have in a hotter charge anyway. So I'm not really getting it.
That finally makes that you having explained it kind of makes it seem a bit more logical in my head. So
yeah. I mean, clearly.
Taking advice here from the animal kingdom, because the Arctic fox does that with its blood vessels.
Wow.
Yeah, so the warm blood goes down the leg and it exchanges heat across to the cold blood coming up from the foot. See, and so it doesn't lose so much heat through its little pores.
Good heavens. Anyway.
Follow that.
on that note, the theory is that the 140 horsepower result in a fuel burn that is not dissimilar to an avgas powered 140 horsepower engine, and so this thing is appearing in all sorts of places. It appears in not that one, didn't mean that one. It appears in the Go Get Air airplane, the 750 TP. That's quite a nice looking airplane, really. Although and then explain this, the really weirdly named Tarragon, which is kind of shark-like kind of thing. So basically, almost on most of the stands, you got people wedging turbines in. And last year, Robert even put one in the front of a DR400, which they appear to have swapped for a 916 this year. So we're just hoping that A, certification is not too far away. B, that in order to get your 140 horsepower, you don't have to spend huge amounts of money, because already the around 50k 160 horsepower for a Rotax is pretty expensive, and that's what it's going to be compared with. People would go, hang on a minute, I get a bit less, I get 20 horsepower less for the same. It's well, nobody knows because they haven't got a price yet, but I'm going to guess it's more than double the price of a 916 would be my guess.
I've heard talk of 100k for the Turbotech turbine, and what we missed, because we came home on the Friday, and I think on the last day of the show, I think Elixir, who make the certified trainer, they announced that they are going to make there's going to be a production Elixir with a Turbotech turbine, isn't there? Because that's their aeroplane that they say will be it's like zero emissions because they're going to encourage operation of it on sustainable aviation fuel.
Yes, well, I've got something to add here. On the digital cutting floor of our coverage from AERO, there is a bit where I talk about the Turbotech engine and how they're aiming for EASA certification in 3 years, and they've got to prove to EASA not only the integrity of the engine, but also that it's safe. And one way they're doing that is by working with the smaller manufacturers to get hours on the engine, so that when they come to EASA, eventually when they come to get the final certification, EASA is confident that the thing won't blow up and is a good engine. So that's the reason for all this proliferation, if you like, of engine units.
Very good. Mike Roberts, our resident aviation boffin, recycling the hot combustion air and recirculating it is more mass flow. More flow is more power for the same fuel flow, which gives better specific power. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, not very cool, but actually quite hot.
Yes. And River Rock says, and TBO, I believe that they're aiming for at least 1,000 hours, aren't they?
Maybe I'm aiming for 3,000 hours.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, I believe you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, it's going to be. Look, it's great, it's funky, and if that recirculating stuff works, and I know that Mike understands the physics of it much better than I do, but ultimately, at the end of the day, you're going to go, here's an engine, it's got 20 horsepower less than a Rotax 916, it costs twice as much, and it lasts 50% more, perhaps.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a tough sell. That is going to be a tough sell, because we all like that little lighting of sound, but do we like it enough?
Yeah, what price that starting sound?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could Rotax, if they were smart, they'd go, you get a free MP3 with your 916. But yeah, Anyway, we need to get ourselves over to France to go fly one of those. Really.
Well, you've had an invite, so we should think about getting you there.
Yes. Anyway, who's next?
Dave needs a theme tune.
So we need to show the aircraft here, Ian, the Shark. So whoever said, remember this is called the Shark. Whoever said we're going to need a bigger boat was nearly right, because Shark has gone down a different route to all the other Rotax 916 shoehorners, because there simply isn't room for that engine in the Shark's sleek gills. It's all about that for a long time. The Czech company was showing a Shark fitted with the Rotax 916 IS, which replaces the usual Rotax 912 ULS, the biggest difference between the two being electronic fuel injection. It gives us no extra power, but it delivers the power far more smoothly than the carburetor engine. Shark also offers the 914 turbo engine, and also engines boosted by the Edge tuning parts you already mentioned, although availability of that depends on where it's approved. I have to say, the Shark 912 IS is a blooming good looking aircraft. It's really nicely proportioned. They've made the engine fitting really done it very nicely. And now they've got a new set of colour schemes as well. That bright yellow is one of their brand new colour schemes.
Well, the nice yellow shark. Well, it means that you can say things like yellow shark, do.
Yes, that's well after my time, Ed.
I was lucky enough to go around the Shark factory a couple of weeks ago, and saw the yellow 912 IS being put together. At the time, it was like there was a firewall and there was nothing else at all whatsoever. So I'm glad to see that they managed to get something on there. But that 912 IS, the IS option in the Shark's not going to be available for at least a year and probably more, to be honest. And the whole place was full of lots of different engines, including a lot of Edge performance options. But it's a really impressive little airplane with lots of really neat little features and stuff like that. And being as they're fully composite, have a quick look at this. One of my favorite little things, you see the spring that's used on the nose wheel
is composite, isn't it?
Which is effectively a kind of a composite U, if you like, that's kind of been put together.
And what's even more impressive is if you saw one, because that didn't have the gear door on the nose wheel, but when you see the gear door fitted, there's a little 3D printed like soft link that connects the gear door to the leg. So they're really kind of going for it with the with the clever little technologies.
It's a very impressive operation. It's a very impressive. The little bits and pieces that they've got sorted. Or I think they're up to, I want to say 180 sharks they've built now.
Not surprised. Yeah, it's a popular machine, isn't it? So
it might be more than that, in fact. But you can see the iterations and change that have happened, and it's really quite good, and that's continuing as well. So good news there. Dave, still on you next.
Yes.
Your favourite.
I'm just looking at the time and the long list of items we've got to go through. So we need to pick up the pace. So this is a little. I thought this little helicopter was lovely. It's a Rupp FR200. It's also called the Phoenix. It's first shown last year, but now it's for sale where it's been approved. I was attracted to it because, in my eyes, and Ed says I've got crap eyes, it looks a bit like a scaled down Gazelle. A Gazelle being a 5-seat helicopter made by Sood Aviation, renowned for its speed and agility. Lovely looking airplane. So the FR200. Sorry?
Should have gone to Specsavers.
Should have gone.
Dave can like his pink chopper. It's okay.
Right. It's a 600 kg microlight helicopter powered by a turbine. The turbine, you've got a choice of 2 turbines. You can either go for the standard one, which is something called a T62. It's got 150 horsepower. Or you can go for FR, and FR200 stands for Frank Rupp. You can go for his own gas turbine, which he calls the Neo, which has got 200 horsepower. Apparently, the helicopter is not brand new. The reason it's called Phoenix is because it's been reinvented, if you like, from the Italian Alpi aviation helicopter, which itself was based on the Rotorway.
Rotorway, yeah.
Which itself must have been based on the Gazelle, I assume, then, Dave.
Absolutely.
You can see the lineage.
Moving on, it's you next, I think, Ed.
It's me. It's you. Oh no, it is me. It is me. It's the UAvionics product. It is the Echo ESX EXP. Sounds like a card, the hot hatch from the 80s, doesn't it? You'll obviously know UAvionics products. They have there's the AV30, which is the panel EFIS. They've got a product, you can see one just on the far left of that shot, called Tail Beacon, which is a light which also operates as a transponder, which can be controlled by an AV30 or an AV20. And this new gadget, Echo ESX, is basically, it's for all the customers who said, well, I haven't got anywhere to put a light, but I do want your clever remotely mounted transponder, and I want to drive it from my AV30. Available initially for experimental or home-built aircraft first. Not in the UK, though, obviously, because we're only allowed to use TSO'd equipment when we fly. However, a TSO'd version will be coming. But basically, it's modest transponder, 1090 megahertz extended squitter, and global. So you have a GPS source for compliant ADS-B out transmissions. So price for that is going to be starting from £2,499, but that is a transponder. So when you think about it, it's just a very clever little transponder.
Right, I'm going to rush through 3 items here, or
okay.
2 items possibly. The first thing is a very quick one. DC have come out with an over-the-ear headset for airline pilots and BizJet pilots. Intended for those. It's called the JetX. It's not for sale yet in the UK. I haven't seen anyone selling it. $689 in the States. I reckon that's going to cost 600 quid over there. So if you're lucky enough to spend your life flying around in airlines or BizJets, you might want to consider that. The next thing that I want to show you is a couple of things. There was a whole load of people getting very, very excited about these. These are kind of lightweight, do-it-all EC boxes. The one on the left has SafeSky embedded within it. The one on the right doesn't. It has a barometric chip in. It has a GPS chip in, and it's a 3-band receiver. So it receives on 1090 ADS-B. It receives on 978 UAT, and it receives on 860, which is the ADSL Lite feature. And the one on the left, you got SafeSky, you get a whole load of other stuff as well, FLARM, AGN, all that kind of thing. They've all got built-in batteries. It's a big boon, and we'll be trying to get our hands on those to have a look. The big downside is they're all in units as opposed to out units. So the units for looking for people and not telling people where you are. So there you go. Finished with those. We're trying to get hold of one of those. We'll get hold of one of those, and they'll do a whole thing on it because there's a lot more to say, I imagine. Oh no, my next story. There you go. Right, when I was there, I had a quick look at this. This is the G3000 Prime. Don't turn away just because it's PC12. And if you're anything like me, you can't afford your own PC12, and that's the fit to the PC12 Pro. However, I think you can see the future in this. These are pretty amazing touchscreen. Everything on them is touchscreens, and they work really. Have a little play with them. They're super funky. The way Garmin do stuff is very rarely do you see stuff happening on Garmin that doesn't get adopted by the rest of Garmin. So my prediction is, and I have no information on this, they wouldn't tell me. My prediction is that it won't be at some point in the future. That'll be the kind of technology that you get on the screens that you fly in GA certified experimental piston aircraft, as opposed to having to buy a PC12 Pro, which is probably going to set you back, I don't know, $4 or $5 million, which I don't happen to have hanging around. Or anywhere around, to be honest, that one's just hanging around. In fact, if I sold everything I've got, even my kidneys, I still wouldn't manage it. So there you go.
eBay.
What for kidneys?
I don't know. Is there a market? Anyway.
Right, Ed.
How about a smart flyer? So we saw this with the concept for this a few years ago at AERO. It was there in a pretty much completed form, and this is a clever little device. It's pretty unusual looking, but it's basically, if you look in the nose, you'll see a Rotax 914 hybrid power system. What's neat about this is it claims to have 4 hours endurance. So the 914 generates power, and if you look, you will have seen in Trilander style, there's a 160 kilowatt motor in the fin. So your hybrid powertrain basically reduces direct operating costs. The makers of Smart Flyer say by 50%. So lower costs, lower energy costs, and lower maintenance costs, and 50% less CO2 and 60% less noise. It's 4 seats, 1,400 kilograms max takeoff weight, and 400 nautical miles max range, 120 knot cruise. So, and there's going to be versions of that which are pure electric, which I'm less excited about, and maybe a hydrogen fuel cell. But it's nice to see this, the kind of a conventional engine that we're kind of familiar with being used to generate power. Because if you remember, Tecnam and Siemens were doing that in a collaborative project, and obviously Rolls-Royce bought Siemens, and that project all came to an end. So this is something similar, and I think this is pretty cool. I hope we see more of it. So
you're still on, Ed. Carry on.
Still on. Oh, and then there's this, the Nissus Gyrix Auto Gyro. Try saying that if you're me. Basically, it's an auto gyro, 300 kg useful load. But what was cool about this is it was 26,500 euros for a kit, all ready to fly. 56,000 euros plus VAT with a Rotax 912 ULS. I just thought that looks like a cool bit of kit, and still 56,000 euros is still a lot of money. But in the world of aviation, to get something brand new, that's not bad.
I was going to say, why didn't you pick that, Ed? It looks the same as every other 2-seat tandem gyrocopter I've ever seen in my life.
Value for money is why I picked that.
Value for money. Well done. Yeah, excellent. You're still on.
I'm still on. Oh no, yeah. So this is the Rotax. So in the Black Shape Prime Explorer, which was the tailwheel version of the Black Shape Prime, the engine in that was something called a CMD19 turbo. Now, normally Black Shape fit Rotax engines, anything between 912 and 916. But this was curious because I'm not sure I've seen much of this before, but it's from an Italian company called CMD. The non-turbo version is 121 horsepower for takeoff max, 118 max continuous. It's 1,800 cc's versus 1,352 for the Rotax 916. The weight is the same, 85 kilos, they claim. And obviously the turbo version that was in the Prime Explorer is 180 horsepower for takeoff. And just an interesting thing, I couldn't get a price for it. There was not a lot of information, and obviously just Black Shape offering it as an option, but clearly similar form factor to a Rotax. So maybe we'll see more of that. So.
Okay, just a quick one from me before we move on to Fantasy Hangar, which Ed, if you can cue that up, that'd be great. I just wanted to give a shout out to the Brit companies in AERO Friedrichshafen. There was a whole bunch of them spread throughout the halls. I'm probably going to miss a few, but a special shout out to Poolies, Nicholson McLaren, SkyDemon, Andir, Adams, Air Parts, Elevate, Hurt, and Trig. Although I'm not sure if Trig qualifies as British anymore, because aren't they in Holland? I can't remember. Holland or Scotland, one of the two.
Scotland.
They're in, I think they're also in Holland, didn't they? But there were probably some others which we missed. Apologies to you, but it was good to see them all there. Right, it must be time for...
That might be the most slick transition to Fancy Hangar we've ever had.
After 4 years.
I know. I took it.
No better.
Yeah, it took you telling me as well. So anyway, because the 916 is engine du jour at the moment, it's the hot ticket engine, we thought we would pick our favourite Rotex 916 powered aeroplanes for our Fancy Hangars. Who's first?
Dave.
Right. Well, I've gone for a real thoroughbred. This is a Verizon 916 Super Veloce. This is the flying shot, obviously, and it's fast. It's 215 knots fast. But also, I've got this shot here of it at AERO, and it kind of shows the shape of the aircraft and the slimness of the fuselage. It's just a really different aircraft. Very, very thin on its frontal area. Lovely V-tail. I think this is a real thoroughbred aeroplane, a bit like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. It's just there to go really fast. Excellent.
I dread to think what that canopy costs, because that is one enormous piece of plexiglass.
Well, this is Fantasy Hangar.
Oh, I know. I like to have practical thoughts, while we're living in fancy land.
I mean, I know beauty's in the eye of the beholder and all that, but
I think the Ryzen is a bit like a Lamborghini, isn't it? It's Lamborghini. It's not for everybody, but you go that is something in the pursuit of its classic Italian pursuit of lowest drag and hottest.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Yeah.
Right. At the other end of the spectrum, I suspect, is probably Ed.
Me? Oh, well, yeah, but it's fabulous. And I picked this, the Carbon Cub UL. I've got a real soft spot for this, and I would like one in reality. Cub crafters, if you're listening, call me. So this aircraft finally started being delivered this spring. It's based on various reviews that have been around, and being a Cub fan, this sounds like my kind of machine. It's 300 pounds lighter than a normal Super Cub, 50% less parts, which I was amazed at. But with 916, its takeoff, Cub crafters say, is as short as 50 feet, climb at 2,500 feet per minute, cruise 110 miles an hour to 132 miles an hour, depending on how big your tires are, they say. Landing, and I'm not one for big tires. I think I can live with regular size tires. And landing as short as 110 feet. I took a look at the Cub UL configurator earlier on, and I've ticked the checkerboard rudder option, $795. Otherwise, it was all base equipment, and the machine said, buy it now, $295,000. So I went, great, I'll do that. I didn't have any of that money.
Did you didn't click buy?
I did, but and they said we take Bitcoin as well, but I have none of the above.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, in a way, I went for something fairly predictable. I went for the high speed tourer. I went for the JMB VO3. It's a stunning looking aircraft, as I'm sure you agree. It's available with everything from the 912, but this upwards, and what we're talking about the 916 here. So takeoff and landing still like 98 meters takeoff, meters landing, pretty impressive. 2,000 feet a minute climb, also very impressive. Max cruise speed. I get suspicious when people put it in kilometers an hour, for God's sake. 370 kilometers an hour, whatever. The only downside of the 916 version is the useful load, which down on this is kind of down at 235 kilos, which is still plenty. But one of the things I noticed this year, I just want to quickly mention this. When the 600 kilogram category came in, everyone went, wow, look at all that weight we've got. And if you take something like a Sky Ranger, so the Sky Ranger 300 600. That's got something like a 300 kilogram useful load. You can't put enough stuff in it to actually get. It's just fantastic. But some of the others, they're kind of starting to creep up where the kind of useful load you can see is getting lower and lower and lower. And these aircraft have actually, I don't know if it struck you, but some of the 600 kilogram aircraft are really big aircraft these days. And they've put more and more kit in, and they're getting heavier and heavier, and the useful load's getting smaller and smaller. And I think we're going to be back to where we were with the 450 kilogram stuff, which is everyone's going to be flying them overweight.
Isn't that's the story of aeroplanes over and over again, isn't it? Is that they just get heavier.
I think you're absolutely right.
Keep them light. So that just leaves for Annabelle to swoop in and take a surprise win.
So you can keep your boring little aircraft. I have gone for the Scale Wings Mustang, a 70% scale replica of the legendary P-51. It's fast, it's efficient, and it is super, super cool. The attention to detail on this is so obsessive, it makes Ed look like a slacker. There's a simulated metal finish with hundreds of thousands of dummy rivets and screws, and a rudder that really looks like it's fabric covered. Apparently, Ian was saying earlier about an MP3, there is even a sound system for a Rolls-Royce Merlin engine sound and a smoke generator for startup. The mighty Merlin roar may be fake, but it is still aerobatic, it's still slick, and it still turns heads like a proper warbird. Stuff with modern reliability and Rotax fuel economy. With a glass cockpit, comfy seat, and cruising at around 140 knots, an endurance of 5 hours, you can loop and roll your way across the UK for a bacon sandwich while looking, have I mentioned this, ridiculously cool.
Aerotique wins.
Aerotique for the win there.
But to be fair, the Scale Wings P-51 is very impressive, and it's selling surprisingly well in the States, not surprisingly. And it is if you see one on the ramp and you see it from a distance, it is very convincing if you kind of look past the tiny prop. So, and in flight, if you go and find a video of, and there's a few, they actually sound pretty cool. So.
I was going to say, I've listened to a few 912s recently flying with bigger chord props on, and the noise is the music that they're making is so much nicer than some of the early 912 stuff. It's kind of really good, a real pleasant sound, I would say. Right, so who's won then, Ed?
So Darren at Aerotique says Ed wins. Kath Burnham says Ed wins. Ed takes the lead. Ed has won. Spot on, Ian. I'm guessing that's you talking about weights. P-51 bought on Temu. Harsh. Annabelle has it. It's Dave's choice for me. Annabelle it is. It isn't a proper warbird, says Ridders. Annabelle wins. Ed wins. Well done, Annabelle. Mr. Magoo would buy one. That's mean. Catkid says, Ed, if you get the Merlin MP3 in the Carbon Cub, that would be messed up. Ed wins. Annabelle wins. Ed wins, Annabelle. I think it might be an Ed wins, which I was surprised at because I thought the Annabelle's P-51 would be a winner.
Yeah, well, I tell you, you know what? The more I look at that, I hate to say this, but I'm not entirely at ease with the cow.
I'm not entirely at ease with the cow, but it is cheerful. I look how happy it is.
Such a happy face.
I know. I don't know. It gets a bit insufferable when people are happy all the time, doesn't it? You in a bit of misery.
I resent your aeroplane. It looks too happy. Dave.
Events. Right. So the weekend is full of spring and Easter events, not surprisingly. So the spring flying at Tiverton is on Saturday. On Sunday, also on Saturday is the Easter flying at Balado. Easter Airfield moved its own flying, also called the Easter flying, to the Sunday. So on the Sunday the 20th, Easter flower bombing at Slape. Sunday and Monday, there's the Easter bunny flying at Shuttleworth. And on Monday the 21st, there's Vintage Galore flying at Shobden.
Okay, well, that leaves me just to say thank you very much, everybody, for your help. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, team, for being here. Please join us again next Wednesday for Livestream SkyStream. I won't be here next Wednesday, but I'll be back next Thursday. We've got a very special guest for you next Thursday, so spread the word. far and wide. We have got the what can we call it?
Legend.
The legend. There you go. That's what I was looking for.
You've been asking for it. We listened.
Yeah.
Paul Bertorelli is joining us live on the live stream next Thursday. So come and join us and listen to someone who knows what they're talking about.
Who's been there, seen it, and he's probably one of the wisest heads in light general aviation, isn't he?
I think so, but he still goes parachuting. So
he still goes parachuting. Yeah.
You just said he was a wise head.
Yes. Except for that bit.
I
Anyway,
know.
we're looking forward to it.
Anyway, we're looking forward to that. That'd be great. Do us just a favour, like, comment, subscribe, and join the Flyer Club if you can. That would be great. So next Thursday, Paul Bertorelli. Have a great week. Have a great Easter. Don't eat too much chocolate. Enjoy your flying and check the weather. Cheers, everyone.
Bye.